Hello, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome to the channel. I am Ileana, and today in this video we're going to go over all of the books that I read in the month of August. I would say that August was an okay month for me in terms of the number of books that I read. I didn't read as much as I usually do, and that's completely okay. Personally for me, I had a lot of weekends where I was just doing a lot of stuff with like my family, and I had a work event that I had to go to, so that was a couple of days, so I didn't get as much reading done. But for the books that I did read, I think that they were all, well, not all of them, but there were some really good ones that I did read, and I'm excited to tell you all about them. And hey, if you are super excited for the Burr months, spooky season, cozy season, go ahead and hit subscribe because I will be reading a lot of cozy books, horror books, all that good stuff for the upcoming season. Starting off strong, we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this was on one of my like highly anticipated books for 2025, and this one definitely delivered. It basically follows along our main character. Well, there's two timelines really happening, but for the sake of simplicity, it follows our main character as she is working toward being one of the first female astronauts in NASA. And it's great. The feminist themes, the historical kind of like aspects that have been pulled, beautifully done in this book. And so we are following along. Our main character is Joanne, and we're following, like I mentioned, there's those two timelines. There's a timelines of her doing all of this hard work to even be considered an astronaut, and then as she's working with her kind of like crew of friends and stuff that she meets along the way, we're following that story. And then on the other timeline, we have like multiple years in the future where she's done this kind of stuff. Now we're seeing where she is, and that timeline is the one that really hurts. And it's so clever the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid has done this, because she starts off the book in a way that just right into your soul. And she doesn't save it for later. She makes it hurt even more because you know what is going to happen. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. I gave this book a 4.5. It was absolutely beautiful. The ending, absolutely devastated. I loved the LGBTQ plus themes, especially as it relates to like the 70s, 80s, whatever timeline this was. It's hard to remember now, like after you, 80s, after you read so many books, because I'm like, was it this one that I read? But then I'm confusing it with a different book that I read. But anyways, in the 80s, and I didn't exist in the 80s, so I'm just going to assume that this is probably what it was like in the 80s for women. And it's not just romantic love in this book either. There's like family love, there's platonic love, like there's just so much love in this book. And it's just, it's so good. If you haven't read it, you certainly should, because this book is worth it. It's emotional, it's beautiful, and of course Taylor Jenkins Reid creates these characters that you just fall in love with. Next up, we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, and this is that beautiful, you know, the trend going around with all the sprayed edges. This book is just fabulous. I think I ended up giving this book 4 stars, and it was honestly really interesting and different than the kind of stuff that I've seen with Ali Hazelwood before. And I love Ali Hazelwood. I think there's only one book of hers that I didn't really like, but all the other ones I'm like, this is great. And in my opinion, this is her best written book yet. And there's a cameo in this book from The Love Hypothesis. Those characters are in this book. It's like, ah. And so what's interesting about this book, to be honest, is the way that she explores BDSM in a non-judgmental way. And I think that that's really interesting because a lot of other popular books like 50 Shades of Grey have taken a lot of heat for the way that BDSM has been treated and kind of seen. And so she does a better take on this, a more respectful take on this, where you get to see these two characters who are just exploring something that they like and that they enjoy. And so our main character who we follow along, Scarlett, she is a competitive diver. And then there's Lucas, who is like an Olympic winning Swedish swimmer. And the book makes it very clear that these are two different kind of professions. So like there's like swimming, but then there's like the diving, you know? And so another thing that I think is kind of unique about this book is that you're not following two characters who are like, oh my goodness, like we kind of like each other. No, they actually start off as a hookup because they kind of find out in a very bizarre way that they're both into BDSM. And so they start off just as a hookup, but then as the story progresses, you see them going from like, oh my goodness, like they're more than just like a hookup partner. Like, am I falling in love with this person? And some of the scenes are just so cute. I love it. The character growth and the development and just like the relationships and the drama, just like Ellie Hazelwood does such a beautiful job with this book that I'm just like, oh, they feel like real characters. Like in a very similar way to a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. That's how Riley's characters felt to me. And I was so sad when I finished the book because it was over and I really liked it, and this is a really good book. So if that sounds like the kind of stuff you want to read, it is nice and spicy, but it's not just spicy. So you get a lot of interesting non-vanilla spice with compelling characters and exploration of trauma, like all of the stuff. So yeah, it's good. Next up, we have Enchantra by Kylie Smith. And this is the second book in the Wicked Games series. You may know the first book, Phantasma. And so this book follows along the other sister, so not Ophelia, but Ophelia's sister Genevieve. And honestly, I think this book is actually better than the first book. Like, it's just, there's just something so like, yes, about it. And maybe it has to do with the romance. Like, I love the romance in this book so much. It is so fun. The writing, obviously, as this author has done previously, is just so good. It's so gothic, it's so dark and beautiful, and I just love the way she uses encrusted. It's so good. It's also just like such a great book for the fall season beginning. Like, you can tell by the cover, obviously, that it's just like, it's so good. And so you're following along Genevieve as she's trying to find more people like herself, because obviously the way she grew up with like a necromancer family, like her sister having to take on her mom's role and Genevieve is just kind of there. She's like trying to find people who relate to her situation so she can kind of like, you know, get some stuff off her chest. And so she ends up finding this guy who seems to have been pretty close with her mom, and so she tracks him down. But what she doesn't know is that where this guy lives, his entire family is stuck in this game created by this guy named Nox. And every single year, they basically have to fight to the death, and whoever survives is granted like 1 year freedom from the house. Everybody else is basically sent to hell to do Nox's bidding. And it's awful because you die every single time. And so now Genevieve ends up in this house right as that game is about to begin. This is the hunt, that's what they call it. And you know, Nox isn't too happy about somebody who's not family being there. So my friends, you know what they do? You know what they do? They have to make her fake date this guy named Rowan, pretend they are engaged and get married. And because it's like a hunt and there's a bunch of like observers, they have to pretend the entire time that they're deeply in love with each other while trying not to also fall in love with each other. Like, beautiful. And it's so fun. And like the way that the games are just like created are really just like, it really just does feel like another extension to the series, because Phantasma does a brilliant job in getting you in, like getting your characters into these like precarious situations and having to figure stuff out and like magic and all this good stuff. And so she's able to replicate it again in this book, but in a slightly different way that doesn't feel like it's just like a copy and paste, but in a way that you're like, oh my goodness, like what is gonna happen to these characters? And I eat it up every single time. I love it. I think I gave this book 4.5 stars. Super good. Amazing. You should just read it. If you, well, I mean, read Phantasma first, obviously, but then read this one because it is totally worth it, and it's given hints towards it being a much longer series, which I predict is going to, because it's already in third person, feature multiple characters maybe in the third book. We'll see, but so good. Next up, we have Daisy Jones and the Six, which is also by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I ended up reading this one finally after I read Atmosphere, because I'm like, oh my goodness, like her books are so good. I love them so much. And I'm sad to report that I actually didn't really like this one that much. I think I ended up giving it a 3, like a low 3 stars. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad book. It's not badly written. The characters are very realistic, but it just didn't hit for me, I guess. This story kind of approaches it in like a journalistic manner, which perhaps I was comparing it too much to my favorite book, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which has that wonderful like interview style, but I guess it just didn't hit the mark for me. So it does feel like this is a real rock band in that these are real people in these situations. It really does read that way, and that's like the talent that she has as an author. But for me, I didn't really care about the story. I didn't want to even root for the romance because like the guy's married and I'm like, he's married, like I can't, like it goes against my beliefs, my morals, my ethics, and so I didn't want them to even like get closer at all. And I guess I don't know, like I wanted to read something a bit different. Like I've never read anything about rock stars, but I guess I kind of learned reading this that I don't really care, sorry, about rock stars. And I liked the characters, but I didn't feel as attached to them as I do in the rest of her books. So I don't know what it was about this one that just didn't hit for me. And it makes me feel bad because I love her books, and this is like, her characters are realistic. I gotta say that, and it's not a bad book. It wasn't a book for me. Yeah, and wasn't for me. But this book basically follows along the story of Daisy Jones and the Six. Daisy Jones obviously being a person, and then the Six is another popular rock band at that time, and so it has a bunch of different members. And so it kind of tells us the story about like how Daisy Jones started, how the Six started, and then how they eventually became Daisy Jones and the Six, and then what led to the band kind of breaking up, and then you kind of get a where are they now kind of segment. So like, if that sounds good to you, like if that's the kind of thing that you like, I definitely recommend still read this book. Like, it's, like I mentioned, it's just, it wasn't really for me, but if you like that kind of thing, or I mean, even if you don't, like, just try it out. Maybe you'll love it, I don't know, but I'm happy that I read it. Next up, we have a book that I was incredibly disappointed by, Shield of Sparrows by Devoney Perry. And this is another one of those books that, look at the amazing like artwork on the edges, that has lied to me. And one that BookTok absolutely loves, which again, I've been lied to. Two things that I've been lied to. How pretty this book is. It's so beautiful. Ugh, I'm gonna feel really bad when I donate it because it's beautiful, but like, I don't want it, you know? But like, I've been lied to so many times by BookTok. Like, sometimes it's great. Sometimes the books I read there, incredible. Like Boys of Tommen, incredible. I liked Haunted Adeline as well. That was really good. But when it comes to like Powerless, Shield of Sparrows, those kind of guys, it's not for me, and it's breaking my soul. So what did I not like about this book? I didn't like how boring it was. And I did not like our main character at all. But what I did like about this book was this little girl who's like 4 years old, Evangeline, who basically carried the entire book on her shoulders. And I thought the world itself was really, really cool. You have all these like creatures that the author has just made up and introduced to this world, and everything makes sense, and you have a cool kind of like forest village setting where they're like living in the trees because there's like monsters that are like, you know, they'll eat people on the ground kind of stuff. That is amazing. And so there was really great work done in the world building of this book, in the monsters, in the history, all of that. But where it fell flat was the characters, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of potential in this book. And so we have our main character who, if you've watched any of my videos, you know how I feel about the character whose only personality is that she is snarky and she's rude and violent. But yeah, I won't harp on that every single time we talk about this book, I promise. And so she is basically the eldest in this like family line, but she wasn't picked to be the Sparrow. And the Sparrow is basically somebody who has to marry like this guy from the opposing kingdom in order to like seal an alliance, and this person needs to be like diplomatic, they need to be strong, they need to fight, like all of this stuff. And like our main character did not hit those marks, and so that's why she wasn't picked. And so it goes to her sister. But on the day of like, you know, some stuff happens, and the guy that her sister's supposed to marry decides he wants to marry her and not the sister. And so this character, who's completely untrained in everything, doesn't know anything about the world, is now shipped off into this mysterious land, which sounds really, really cool. But the thing is that nothing happens in this book. Nothing happens at all. This character, all she does is like, she sleeps, she gets on a horse, she argues with somebody, and that's it. She doesn't investigate anything. This is literally all done by this like 4-year-old girl who we don't even get the point of view of. And she's so boring. I can't. She's so boring. She doesn't do anything, which is such a shame because I can see so much potential in this book, and so much, like if they just took a bit more time in fixing up these characters a little bit more, this book could have just been like home run. And it makes me feel bad because I don't like talking negatively about books, but I also don't want to lie to you, because if you're looking for book recommendations and you like similar books as me, you may be like, yeah, I didn't like this book either, or maybe you don't want to read this book. I don't know, it's up to you. I don't control what you do. But yeah, thoroughly disappointed with this book. I think I gave it 2 stars, and that was being generous. Like, it felt like I was moving through molasses trying to finish this book. Yeah. So yeah, I don't recommend it, but if you want to read it, go ahead. Like, maybe you'll like it. For me, I didn't like it. I'm gonna donate it, even though it's beautiful and look amazing on my shelf. I refuse to put books that I do not like on my shelf because it feels like I'm lying to myself, and I want my bookshelf to represent books that I put my stamp of approval on, even if they are absolutely beautiful. No, I want somebody to be able to come into my home and pick any book off the shelf and it will be a masterpiece. I'm sorry, Sparrows. And last but certainly not least, we have Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. And I ended up enjoying this book about the same as I expected I would enjoy this book, to be honest. What I really loved about this book was the magic system. It is very plot focused, this book, with a subplot of romance. So going in here, if you're expecting a romantasy, you'll be probably a bit disappointed because it's not really focused on the romance. There is romance, but it's more about the world. And oh boy, do I love the magic system in this book. It basically is a tarot card magic system. So if you've read books like One Dark Window, or you've watched shows like Yu-Gi-Oh, where they use cards as kind of like the magic, that's kind of the idea, except it's tarot cards. And it's really, really fun because there's also like this whole history about you need to grind certain powder depending on which card you're making. And so there's like people who are like marked, which are basically like people who can access this like arcana power, but have been deemed unfit or they're poor or anything like that. And they're forced to go to these mines and basically mine all of the like powder and stuff and give it away for like the royal people to take and then give to their students at Arcana Academy to use for their inking to create the cards, because you have to ink your cards. And so our main character in this book, just read this book and I already forgot her name, Clara, is a woman named Clara. And so she has been sent to a prison because she was basically caught doing stuff she's not supposed to be doing. And what's unique about her is that she can ink any card using any powder, which nobody can really do that except for her. And so it's kind of like a unique ability for her. It doesn't matter what powder she has, she can just do. 4 of swords, 5 of coins, like that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter, but everybody else has to use particular powders. And so this kind of like warden guy kind of takes advantage of that and makes her like ink all of these cards, and then he like sells them, black market kind of stuff. But she ends up kind of being taken out of the prison. Kind of reminds me of Throne of Glass in this way, to be honest, but like not in like a plagiarism way, but just in like a, oh, I can kind of see the parallels between that. And he basically has a deal with her now that they're gonna pretend to be engaged. She will enroll in Arcana Academy and help him find this card, this legendary card, this myth card called the World, which can basically, anybody who has it can change everything. You get one wish and you can basically change every single thing. You can bring people back from the dead. You can change society. You can completely remake the world. And she's like, yeah, it beats being in prison, right? And so we're kind of following along her as she's now enrolled as a student. She kind of makes friends with like the enemy, is trying to balance her like fake relationship with the prince, which I wasn't really too into their romance, to be honest. It was the only part of the book that I didn't really care too much about. Everything else I was like, nice, I like this is fun. And the writing can be a bit repetitive at times as well, but not enough in the way that you want to like slam the book closed and give up on it. It's interesting enough that it hooks you, so you kind of forgive the repetition of it. And it's a really fun book. It's so fast paced, and it's like there's stuff happening, but not in like an overwhelming way, but in like a fun way. And it's magical and it's fun, and just like the magic system alone, just, I don't know, it just like hooks me so hard. I'm really excited to see where the series is going to go, because this is only the first book. No other books in the series are out yet, but it's very promising. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars, and I think that it has so much going for it that you should check it out because it's really good. It's not like the best thing ever, but 4 stars, it's honestly worth the $44 that I spent on it. And yeah, it doesn't feel like a massive book either. I like that there's just stuff happening all the time, and like I mentioned, the magic system I'm just completely obsessed with, and I think that the author has done an incredible job building out this world and this history, and like the magic has like repercussions if you don't use it properly, which is great, so you don't just have like infinite magic and no kind of like consequences. It is a vibe. And if you like tarot, like if you do tarot or you're interested in tarot, like read it. And that's it. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of August. I think I had a pretty decent reading month. It was really busy for me, so I felt like at times I was like falling behind, but then I'm like, who am I behind in? I'm not in a competition with anybody. I read because I like to do it. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like in the book community, it always feels like there's a race to finish your book and read as many books as possible, and like you kind of feel like a failure if you don't read like 30 books a month. But like it's not really realistic, especially if you work full time. And I like to savor my books. I don't like to just like go through them fast just to add another number to my read and wrap up. It always feels like in the back of my mind that I should be doing that, but then I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, why am I stressing myself out? This is not a competition. We read because we like it, and I don't know, maybe you need the reminder too, because I don't know, I feel like I need the reminder. So let me know, have you read any of these books? If so, were there any that you liked more than I liked, or maybe even disliked more than I disliked, or the other way around? Let me know. That'd be fun to talk about. So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe, because I do these read and wrap ups every single month. So if you want to see my unfiltered thoughts on all of these books in a spoiler-free way, then this is your go-to. With that, I'm going to wish you warm wishes and fish kisses, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!